Hi, this is Cindy again. I'm one of the librarians at K-State Libraries. We're going to talk a little bit more about getting full text of articles. Hopefully you were able to find some from the first video, but let's do a little bit of recap. Whenever you're doing research, we want you to make sure and start from the library's webpage so that you will be connected up with the resources, subscriptions, etc., that we have paid for. So you will have full access to that. This is really important when you come to looking for full text of articles. You should never, ever, never, ever pay pay money for the full text of an article. I'll show you how you can go about and get copies of articles for free, and it'll take 1 to 2 days max, probably. So whenever we're doing our research, again, we want to start from the library's website. So www.lib.ksu.edu or www.lib.k-state.edu. We can hover over the research and find choice along the left-hand side, or we can scroll down and find the square that says databases in it. Clicking on that will take us to our alphabetical listing of the databases. We again will select P for PubMed. If you know what specific, the name of a specific database you're looking for, you'll want to go ahead and just select that. PubMed is our last option down here at the very bottom of the list. And if you are off campus or have not been in PubMed yet, at this point, it might ask you to log in with your EID and password. That's, again, how it connects up. So remember, we were doing our search on childhood obesity, and we had cardiovascular risk in there. That view display option, we can certainly change that to the abstract so we can kind of read and find out a little bit of what the article's about to make sure that it is going to correspond with the subject and the research that we're wanting to do or wanting to inquire about. PubMed seems to be taking some time today. I usually do not have to wait that long just to change the display options. So remember, we talked about the different parts of an article. It can be an intro, lit review, background, methods, data collection, results, telling you primarily telling you the statistical information that they found. And at the end, are going to be conclusions. It's going to be information on whether they answered their question, their clinical question, or their research question. And usually it will also contain, where should we go from here as far as our research. Once you find an article and an abstract that you're interested, at the end of the abstract or the entry information is an option that says full text links. Unfortunately, from this choice, you cannot tell if K-State Libraries has access to it. However, if we do have a subscription to that particular journal or that article, it will automatically pop up. So let's take a look at that. So I'm just going to click on the Elsevier link, and we can tell that because we logged in with our EID and password before, it still recognizes that we're part of K-State. It boldly for this one tells you that it is brought to you by K-State Libraries, and therefore to view the PDF, all we have to do is click on that, and we will get to either a PDF version or another screen that will take it to us. So here we have the specific PDF version. Let's see if I can find one maybe that we don't have access to. I probably should have tried that one before I came back online. Let's see if we have access to this one. Oops. Well, that's not the right error message that I want to get. Let's see if we can find a different one here. Those are all free full text, which definitely, let's see if we have access to this one. Okay, so again, we find that information here in the kind of the right hand corner, Kansas State University Libraries. It's recognizing that you are part of K-State, and here's the article. We just really kind of have to kind of look around here. We see here's the PDF version. We can click on that, and that one will take us also, it looks like probably to the full PDF of that article. So it's real easy, I want to say, to be able to get to the articles you need. We will not have access to every one of them. I'm going to take this one here, just one more chance to see. Okay, getting some bad requests in there, but that's okay. What that will lead me into, if you cannot get to the full text of an article, whether it's a problem with the computer, as these are computer commands with my computer, but that, or if it asks you for a credit card, never pay for that. Never spend your own money for an article. Go back to the library's website. And down, as we scroll down, right next to the databases box is an interlibrary loan box, and it says request items you need. So if there's an article, if there is a book, a DVD, a CD, something like that, that we do not have at K-State libraries, or with the books, if they are checked out, you can place an interlibrary loan request. We have staff who will go out to other libraries, and by other libraries, I mean even outside the state of Kansas, to see if we can get copies of the resources we need. So here's more information about it. Let me see. We'll sign into our account. Often, if you have already requested an article, it will, I'm sorry, if you have already logged in, again, with your EID and password, it will probably pop up your account. If you have not used interlibrary loan before, it will ask you some demographic information. We like to know who we serve. So what your year is, what your major, those type of things. If you're not comfortable answering those, and if it'll let you go on, don't feel like you have to answer them. So I know I'm looking for an article. So over to the left, I'm going to click article. It then prompts me for all of the information I need. So I can go back to my PubMed entry and cut and paste the information. Again, they're starting out is the journal title, then the particular date information about it, volume number 2, issue number 3, and these are the page numbers. All of that information can be cut and pasted into this request. Journal, volume, issue, don't always have month, year, pages, and of course you do for sure have to have the article author. The article title is not a required field, but I would definitely suggest that if you have it, to go ahead and add it in there. You will then have to answer one question, additional question down here. When's the last date that you can use the article? That gives them an idea of when to stop working on it. So let's say if you need your papers due on the 15th of February, obviously you're going to want to maybe say the 8th of February or something like that. So you have time to read the paper and incorporate it into the research that you're doing. Notice that you cannot do something the next day and maybe a couple days. They need some time, but it is usually very, very fast. Again, doesn't cost you any money at all. So even if you have an inkling that you think you would like that article, go ahead and request it. Not going to cost you anything. Fill out the form. And then at the very bottom, you can submit that. And usually within 1 to 2 days for journal articles, you will have that information. If it's a physical thing, it does take longer for that to get to the library. In some of the databases, you may find a purple Get It button that will actually fill in some of this information for you. Unfortunately, that's not working in PubMed. They have a different system that they're using, so we do have to kind of manually request those articles. The other thing that you will need to do for your assignment is to be able to cite in APA format the articles that you select. So let's take and let's look at this specific one. I'm just going to click on the article title, and that will take me to an individual record. If you notice over here to the right-hand side, there is a cite feature. By clicking on that, it will bring up an option. The default format is actually NLM, the National Library of Medicine, but because I looked just to make sure the APA citation was working, it has retained that information for me. APA, I can cut and paste this into my document, and then I will have the APA format for this particular article. Understand this is a system or a program doing it. It is not going to be 100% correct all of the time. So if you look on the research guide from where you are watch this video, we also have another option for citation help. And you can go and find, or you're used to ALA, Purdue, perhaps the online writing lab, as well as EasyBib and some of those. You might give those a look over and see whether your whether your citation is 100% accurate. Make sure and always talk to instructors. There are some instructors that are happy to take a cut and paste from a database, and that will work sufficient for them. There are some instructors who want it to be as close to 100% correct as you can possibly get. So make sure you speak with your instructors so you know what you need to be aiming for. If you ever have any questions about APA format, do feel free to send me an email. I deal only with APA format, and so I'm very fluent in APAEs, I call it. There are a couple of other things I want to show you about PubMed. So I'm going to close out of this and I'm going to go back to my search results. And that's how to use filters along the left-hand side of the screen. It's taking it a little bit of time. There are multiple ways of narrowing down your results. So once you have all of your keywords in of the things that you're looking for, of the topics you're looking at, take a look over here to the left. You can narrow down by year. This is interesting that there's kind of a spike there in 2000 on this. It makes me wonder if there was some anomaly there. You can narrow down by text availability. I do, however, want to stress against using the full text, because that's the full text that's available within PubMed. It does not count for what we subscribe to. So you'll miss out on that. So try not to use the text availability. Use the button that says full text. You can narrow by a type if you're looking just for systematic reviews. Here is a way to make more of a customization of a publication. And you can also do age of the participants. So if you want something different than that, you want to take and look at additional filters, option to the left, and you will see all of the filters that you can use. Remember, we talked about article type. You can change by species. Sometimes you'll get a lot of mice or rat cities. If you want to get rid of those, you can identify humans. Language, if you speak more than one language or speak additional languages beyond English, you can select those. Sex is just female and male options. There are not any other options at this time. I look for them to be expanding that. Journal is there's not a lot of options. And then age is whether you are wanting some sort of different age frame or age span in your study. Childbirth to 18, all of the things listed, all of the options listed under that is a breakdown of that birth to 18, birth to 1 month or birth to 23 months or 1 to 23 months. You see that all components of child and adult constitutes 19 and over. If you want to break those down into different ages also, you can do that. And note here that middle-aged can be both anything over 45 and anyone 45 to 64. If you find ones that you want, since we're doing childhood obesity, I should probably stick with adolescent, child. I want to show those. I will then have to identify which ones I want to look at. And the adolescent 13 to 18, as we wait on PubMed to do its searching, it will narrow down about a third. It will tell us what it has applied there. If we want to clear that for another age option, age limit, we can just do clear there and it'll bring us back to all of those results. One of the questions I get a lot of the time is, how many should I narrow down my results to? How many am I looking for? I usually say a good rule of thumb is get your list down to 2 to 3 times as many as you need, because some of them you're going to kick out. So if you have to find 10 articles for an assignment, try to narrow your results down to 20 to 30 articles, because as I said, you'll probably kick some of those out as not fully fitting your research criteria. So that concludes this part of the assignment on how to find the full text. I know some of that probably seemed to go by a little fast. So let's take a look here about how you can go back and find information for assistance. So I'm looking at the research guides, and you probably already know these steps since that's how you got to this video. But please note here, there's my contact information. I don't have an office phone anymore, so the best way to get in touch with me is via email. I do check my email nights and weekends most often. So if you have a question, I do try to respond very quickly when, especially for our students when they're doing their research. A lot of other folks within the library that can help you. If you go back to the library's website here, and you scroll down, there's an Ask Us option, and that's a way that you can find research help. We have an online chat. There's also a phone you can call, you can email us, or contact the help desk. You can also reach out to other student workers in the library who have special trainings to be peer research consultants, and you can find your librarians for the different subjects and reach out to any of them. I would say all of them have their emails posted, so you can certainly email them and see if they can help you with your assignment. Please do get in touch with us. We are here to make your life easier, hopefully, at least the research part of your classes here at K-State. If you have any questions, please do email. Otherwise, good luck with your assignment.